Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. JJ Messenger, and of course, Bigfoot's Barber Shop. Yes, this must mean it is once again time for my assistance in helping both of you track and hunt Dogman. I will gladly abide, yet please allow me to feed. Absolutely delicious. I do appreciate you bringing me nutrition and allowing me to release myself from the shackles. Now, without further ado, it is time for Midnight Lycanthropy to take a walk into the madness.
Stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf. And everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night. Yes, once again, you are tuning in to Midnight Lycanthropy here on LordeStarfox Radio. We have JJ Messenger and, of course, Bigfoot's Barber Shop joining us tonight in the Fox Den. JJ, how you doing tonight, man?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Glad you got some good stuff on the horizon. What about you, Mr. Barber? How you doing tonight, eh?
Doing all right. Just kicking back. And
have either one of you been diving into any sort of cryptid activity or potential Dogman activity recently?
Well, where I live, it's kind of a habituation area. I've had a few slaps on the house in the middle of the night. Of course, by the time you rouse and get, attention going, everything's quiet.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
With having to sell the house, do you have to disclose the activity?
No. Nobody would believe it. Right? Footsteps on the roof. Footsteps on the roof.
Recently had a pretty interesting case submitted to me that, well, just like a lot of these things, can't really fully verify or not verify it. Individual seems reliable enough. It's an interesting encounter. I was going to see what both of you thought about this for sure. Yet, before I start reading this, both of you would be encouraged to kind of give your thoughts as to where you stand on this topic, starting with you, JJ. If you, at this moment, were asked in the whole Dogman phenomenon, would you give it your stamp of approval, or would you still question it?
Yeah, I'm uncertain with the Dogman phenomena.
I dig it. Excellent answer. What about you, Mr. Barber?
75-25 on Dogman.
Yes, some great stuff right there. Love it. Well, what if I told both of you in the audience we're going to head up to Canada right here, and we are going to hear from our interesting guest, per se, Alexa. She informed us that around 2010 to 2012, when she was in grade 8, She is now 27. She had a strange and unforgettable encounter with two other witnesses near Stonewall, Manitoba, just off of Old Highway 7. It was early morning, and the three of us were near a bush shine on the edge of a rural farm. We initially saw what we thought was an animal, maybe a deer, walking on all four legs in the brush. But after it noticed us watching it, this strange creature did something that none of us could ever explain. It stood up on two legs, balanced quite easily, and then ran away bipedally, completely upright. It didn't run awkwardly or like it was injured. It moved smoothly and naturally like a person would, except it wasn't a person. It was approximately 6 feet tall, slim built, maybe around, I don't know, 150, 200 pounds, not bulky like a bear. And it didn't have a visible snout, muzzle, or long face like a wolf or a deer. It looked too animalistic to be human, but too human not to look like a normal animal. There was no visible fur or clothing details I could recall due to the lighting and distance, but its movement was what shook us. We didn't see a tail, and it made no sound other than moving through the brush. The bipedal motion was fast and controlled, not like a lurch or stumble, but like something adapted to move on two legs. None of us spoke during the moment. It was silent and incredibly unsettling. As soon as it ran off, all three of us felt a strong sense of unease. Not fear like a bear encounter, but like we saw something we weren't supposed to see. We didn't investigate further or look for prints. None of us dared go back into the brush after it. I swear, this was something very real. This was not a misidentified bear, moose, deer, or human. I've lived in Manitoba my whole life, and I know what local animals look like and move like. This was something else. Based on its motion and behavior, it most closely fits reports of now what people say are dogmen or werewolves or upright canid type creatures, but I'm not trying to label it. I just want to record this. If anyone else has seen anything similar in the Stonewall area or anywhere else in Manitoba, I'd like to know. Thank you, Alexa.
Well, she sounds like a good witness. Not making exaggerated claims, just this unknown thing that she saw that ran on two legs and it was not human. So she sounds very convincing in that regard. That's a very common story with eyewitnesses, and as Brian said, there are thousands of people reporting this. Especially when you go up north towards the Canada area, it seems to increase, I think. Um, I think she sounds very believable. I'm not sure what she saw. But she doesn't sound certain as to the features of what she saw. But she sounds like a good witness.
Yeah, I agree. Sounds, good witness. It doesn't sound like she's making any story up, because if you're going to make something up and you're talking Bigfoot or Dogman, normally it's 7 to 8 feet tall and it's 800 to 1,000 pounds. And, you know,
Yeah,
uh,
and they get a good look.
yeah. And, she's only claiming 6 feet tall, slender build. And being in Canada, and LordeStarfox will be able to answer this better than I can, but I don't know of that many, a couple Dogman, but you hear more about Bigfoot being up there. And it sounds more like a Bigfoot possible encounter if she didn't see a snout. But it sounds like she saw the face from talking about the fact that it didn't look human. It was too animalistic, but it didn't look like an animal because it was a little too human, and she didn't see the muzzle or snout. And with it moving so smooth, it's an assumption, but you can assume it probably lives in the wild to be able to navigate it so efficiently and smoothly, where somebody in a suit who just happened to be laying there and wait would probably be pretty clunky trying to run through any type of brush or force like that, stumbling, using her arms, but she was amazed at how fluid it moves. So to me, that kind of rules out person in a suit.
Definitely some interesting observations by both of you right there. Great stuff. I do find it intriguing, yet I do think there is potential room for misidentification.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think you're onto something with the misinterpretation, because both Brian and I we were saying does not sound like a hoaxer, does not
Mhm.
sound like a made up story for attention, does not sound like she's looking for that type of attention. But on the other hand, was there an emotional component where they were scared out of the gourd? You know,
Mhm.
were their perceptions shaped by their emotions? You know, were they misinterpreting some wildlife as to being bipedal when it wasn't? Of course, that's always out there as a possibility.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's definitely times when I can say I've been in the woods and thought, here's something like a rhythmic thump, 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 but it's more like in the leaves, and your mind starts to run a little bit. And next thing you know, you turn around and you're waiting to see something, 6, 7, 8 feet tall, and it's a chipmunk. I've done that. So I know it sounds like a joke, but at the same time, a chipmunk running through the leaves can make some noise. And when you're out already looking for signs of something superhuman, then that little chipmunk sounds like, Mighty Mouse.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've been there. Just last autumn, I was recording some walking in the bushes. It sounded bipedal to me, with all the footsteps. And it's a very active area. I was all like, the adrenaline's pumping. I'm like, it's close. It's really close. I got the recorder going, and out walks a deer. Out walks a deer.
Yeah, I've done the same thing where you hear something that sounds bipedal, and at least twice I've done that where it's like, okay, I can hear I'm being followed out, and you hear what you think is bipedal, and then you turn around and maybe take a few steps to go see where it's coming from, and then you hear crash, 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 and look, it's a deer. It's like the deer was just taking slow steps. So I don't think she's hoaxing, but could it be misidentification? Absolutely. The point is, I don't think she's lying. So you got 50-50 on what it was.
Excellent stuff by both of you. Yeah, no, I do find it so interesting. I don't think there's any sort of potential aspects of trying to, hoax or anything. I think they were obviously traumatized by whatever it is that they saw and experienced. Is some of this just known animals, we think?
I think so. Like I really and honestly want a a wildlife expert to go over my audio with me bit by bit, clip by clip. You know, because I do my own comparisons with the known animals, fisher, bobcat, black bear, fox, coyote, raccoon. And when you can't match certain sounds that are extremely unusual, you're left scratching your head. I really wish there was a database, or there were, maybe you guys know of this, of wildlife experts that are available for this type of analysis.
Great question right there. Before we let Mr. Barber chime in, I do have a bunch of awesome people I work with. So anytime you have things that you would like to be sent to my science team, let's definitely help you out, my friend.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I don't care what animal you specialize in. The only thing certain about nature is there's nothing certain about nature. I think a lot of stuff can be attributed to the possible. Every Bigfoot recording isn't Bigfoot. Every Bigfoot sighting isn't Bigfoot. You've got your hoaxes and you got your misidentifications. But what we have to put emphasis on is if you got 10,000 encounters and 9,999 of them are BS, but you have one real one, then you've got a real species. So
Boom. Yep.
when you rule out all the possible, then you're left with the impossible.
Love it, man. Well, that leads me into my next question for both of you. Do you think there is any potential that Sasquatch and Dogman could be one and the same, or do you both feel like there is a definite difference and you are willing to draw that line in the sand?
I'm willing to draw a line in the sand. I think there's some Dogman misidentifications with the Bigfoot type Gugway. That's more the baboon looking type. So, but I still think there's something out there, looks like a wolf, but is able to walk on two legs for some reason. Too many people have seen it. My own family's had its own encounter, and maybe I saw him being a little bit biased. My grandpa was a no BS kind of guy. You know, that is one thing that was not tolerated, was telling tall tales. So for that to go on record, definitely saw something on two legs with a wolf head, and that was on two legs and roughly 7 foot plus. So
Creepy as heck. Before we hear what JJ has to say, I don't know if I've ever asked you this, and I don't know why I haven't, because I just chimed into my good old hamster cage upstairs. Apparently, the rodent is churning, as my uncle says, according to my brain, right? Did your grandpa and family at that point in time have any sort of interest or belief in Dogman or Bigfoot when this occurred?
no, that happened in 1964 down in Newaygo, Michigan, and they didn't get the Bigfoot activity until it was like 1966.
Ah, wow. Brings so much more credibility to that as well. Man, that's so creepy, dude, right there. JJ, my guy, what do you think?
I'm not very good at drawing lines. There very could well be some dramatic overlapping. One thing that would be obvious is if they were walking on two legs, but they were canine shaped legs, you know, like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, they wouldn't have that bend that a canine has. Um, whereupon, like Brian was saying, they could have a baboonish type muzzle. You know, we don't know. There might be a variety of that. And then there's the issue of the paranormal. I know that that's going to hold down a whole different road, and it's not very scientific. But I've been finding that a lot of witnesses have paranormal experiences and ghosts and this and that. And I'm like, where is this overlapping? That's sort of my story. I was a paranormal investigator for many years and knew people associated with the Warrens. And then, you know, when I started exploring the forest and I started having those encounters, I'm like, what are the chances? You know, what are the chances that I would be experiencing all this phenomena that people generally don't believe in, and you know, excluding the possibility that I'm misinterpreting everything or I'm crazy? Then why the overlap? You know, it's something worth exploring. I'm not exactly sure what the exact boundaries are. And, you know, it's something worth exploring for everybody.
I'm all for physical at the moment.
Yeah, I'm thinking with Dogman, I'm leaning towards paranormal when they report the self-luminant red eyes. But a lot of people are reporting that with Sasquatch too. It's all up in the air at this point, but with the Sasquatch phenomena, there's a lot of physical things going on. I know there is with the Dogman too, like the foot tracks, hair samples, the environment being disrupted by them. Now, with the paranormal, sometimes that can get very physical too, and people don't realize it, but at times spirits can become very physical as they manifest and wreak havoc in a house. And you know, some people have been physically attacked. My preference is Bigfoot is a relic, extinct hominin, or not so extinct, as it were, and Dogman may be more paranormal related to Native American culture, as Brian was saying.
Great stuff by both of you for sure. My potential final thoughts here are I'm just really baffled recently how you have some indigenous stories about these bear people that came down from bubbles, so basically UFOs and these light streams from the sky. And I just got to thinking that obviously in the universe, it is impossible. Yes, I'm willing to say that here, that there is no sort of other quote unquote intellectual life. People that don't want to believe in extraterrestrial life, no way in this universe we are the most intellectual. In theory, there could easily be another universe or planet where if humans weren't involved in this evolutionary aspect, then something else per se, like a reptilian or a dogman or a Sasquatch, could have evolved to basically be like what we are.
Yeah, you're onto something. The interdimensional thing is a very strong possibility, and nowadays mainstream scientists they're going along with the idea of interdimensional reality. They're actually on board with it. You know, with quantum mechanics, quantum theory. It's not as science fiction as it once was.
Yeah, I agree on that. That's for sure. As I stated earlier, I put my money on it as far as Bigfoot being in the physical realm, but I don't draw a line saying that it has to be from Earth. It could definitely be otherworldly physical, and people talk about portals and things like that. I don't draw a line saying that it's not possible. I just haven't seen it. But that still makes them physical if they're going in between dimensions. Anything is possible at that point.
Excellent. Love it. Well, thank you to Mr. Barber and JJ Messenger for hanging out with us tonight, diving into some of this strange Dogman and Bigfoot and, well, paranormal extraterrestrial stuff that we're still really trying to figure out. I do appreciate it, and we will definitely be having you both on sooner than later for sure. Thanks for hanging out tonight, JJ.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Of course. And Mr. Barber, thanks for hanging out tonight, man.
My pleasure, brother.
Ooh, my creatures of the night. I do adore every single one of you legends. And thank you for making it this far. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share the truth to the algorithm. And remember, there are things that go bump in the night.